One of the most rewarding things that I find about woodworking is the fact that you can make things that you can use around the house. So I'm starting off with a rough sketch, and I'll show you how you can build this in about 30 minutes to an hour at the most. And here is the completed rough sketch. In the next few days, I'll add a link to the description for a free download of the plan. So we'll start off by making all the cuts, and for this entire build we're using a 1x8, which actually has a width of 7¼ inches. And the height all around will be 6 inches tall. The sides were cut at 2¾ inches wide. Once the first one has been cut, I just use that and mark where to cut the second one, also at 2¾ inches wide. Next, we cut the bottom, which is also at 2¾ inches wide. Since the entire build is 6 inches tall, we'll have to make adjustments to these cuts so that they reduce from 7¼ inch to their final heights. And so the length of the bottom is at 5¾ and of course the two sides are at 6 inches tall. Next, with the front, which has an opening, one side, the wider side, will be 5 inches wide by 6 inches tall, and then the smaller side of the front, the smaller piece, will be 1 inch wide, which leaves a 1 inch gap between the two front halves. Okay, this should give you an idea of what it should look like once we've fastened all of the pieces together. Now to assemble this, I'm just using some wood glue and some 1½ inch brad nails. I'm using my glue brush there to apply the glue. I like this brush because it's easy to clean up. I don't bother cleaning it up after I'm done with it, because once the glue dries up you can just slide it off the bristles there. Because this is something that will be used by hand, you don't want to skip sanding off the sharp edges, and that's what I'm doing now. I start off with a 80 grit sandpaper, and then I switched over to a 120 to make it a bit smoother. So at this point in the video, I just want to remind you that all you need is just a little faith and some DIY action. For the finishing, I'm using an oil-based wood stain, and then later on I'll add some polyurethane to seal it up. At this point in the video, I want to remind you that all you need is a little bit of faith and some DIY action to tackle any DIY project. And then I grabbed some paper towel and just wiped off some of the stain, and then I'll let it dry before adding the polyurethane to it. And quickly, I want you to know that I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video up to this point. I'm using this 3X polyurethane, so that will be 3 coats in one, so I don't have to do multiple coats. Once the polyurethane has dried, I added these non-slip protective pads to the bottom of it. As always, I hope you'll have a tangible experience of God's love today. And sometimes this happens when we go to grab a utensil from the holder. So, out with the old and in with the new. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please do me a favor and click on the like button and share it with somebody else who might be interested in building one of these. And don't leave just yet, you might like one of these other videos that are showing up on your screen right now. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.